Thank you for joining us for Small Talks for Big Change, where we help simplify financial topics to help with your financial wellness. Happy New Year, everyone out there, and thanks for joining us on our first episode of the year. And we're trying to kick it off on a positive financial note here. And what better way to do that than have the queen of financial health herself here with us today? I want to introduce back Jennifer Mink, and Jen has been with us many times here in the studio talking all things financial wellness. Jen oversees member experience and financial well-being here at Patelco and is the best person to hear from, as some of us may be thinking about New Year's resolutions and getting organized. Jen's going to help us reset and think about our financial goals. So, Jen, what do you say? Thanks so much for being with us today.
I am so excited to be back. It's been a long time. It's
been
good to see you.
Too long. So, new year, new me, right? You got any resolutions?
Okay, I do have a resolution. And even as old as I am such a TikTok junkie. And there is a new resolution on TikTok that people are doing, which is like, no spend 2025. So you don't spend any money unless you're out of it. You've run out of it. You know, it's broken, it's ripped, whatever. And so that's been my New Year's resolution so far. We're getting into 2025 and I've done so well, even though it's only been a few days.
That is so funny you say that and totally unscripted. But Andrew Farrell is going to be in this studio talking about this exact principle that he introduced on a webinar last month about a no-spend month. And when I first heard him talk about it, I'm like, there's no way I can do that, but he's going to help us unpack that all.
I can't wait to hear it because I need tips.
All right, well, my New Year's resolution is to stop adding an extra N to your name. So I'm going to work on that for 2025. How about that?
That's amazing.
Okay, well, fun fact, Jen, the last time you were here with us, this exact time almost last year, was following a Disney trip with your family at 6. And at that time, I had asked you to rate your financial health from thriving to struggling following that trip. And you responded with thriving, surprisingly, because you had budgeted for the trip and made it out debt-free. Financially speaking, how was your trip this year?
Well, proud to say I made it out debt-free again. Disney was amazing at Christmas time, but hey, it's Disneyland. So anytime you go there, it's amazing. But I am proud to say that no debt was incurred with this trip, even though I had 4 little ones with me and one of my adult children who came along for the ride.
Oh, nice.
And decided that mom was going to buy dinner for her and lunch for her and breakfast for her every single meal. So that wasn't budgeted. It was a last minute addition, but we had a really great time. I told the kids before we left, we're going to have a budget. This is how much you can spend on souvenirs, even though when we went to Disney downtown, they wanted to buy everything.
Yep.
Funny story. One of my 8-year-old twins is obsessed with Lilo and Stitch, and she found a life-size Stitch that we bought and had to bring on an airplane, which was quite embarrassing. But it was in her budget, and she decided to purchase it. And now it lives in my house rent-free.
Wow.
But I do talk a lot about budget and the value of money, especially with my 11 and 13-year-olds, because at this age, it's important to really get them to understand that money doesn't grow on trees, even though they think mom and dad has a money tree in the backyard, and getting that mindset while they're still young.
All right, so this life-size Lilo Stitch, did you have to buy an extra seat for it on the airplane?
Surprisingly not.
Okay, good.
I stuffed it into that overhead.
That
like
would have really derailed the budget. But it's important to
Exactly.
teach kids, this is yours, think about it, spend it on something that you really love. And that was her choice. And you guys asked her 3 or 4 times if she was sure.
We begged her 3 and 4 times to put it back. She wouldn't do it.
I love it. At least she didn't have to buy that extra airplane seat.
Exactly.
All right. So we call you the financial health queen because of your role here at Patelco that really helps us all here and our members look at things through a financial health lens. What do we mean when we say we want our members to be financially healthy?
Financial health queen. I love that. Financial health and well-being is such a passion for me. And the more financially sound and healthy people are, the more they can navigate life's up and downs. I had my garbage disposal break last week. It completely detached from my sink, and that cost me $711. I was blown away. And it's life little emergencies like that come up. And if you're not financially healthy, that's not something you can easily recover from, right? So it's very important that us at Patelco live our mission and teach our members what financial health and well-being is and how we can support them.
Awesome. Okay, spend, borrow, save, and plan. Those happen to be our financial health pillars. So we think about financial health kind of in those categories. Those four focus areas are interesting because they align with some survey results from a recent CNBC study that asked Americans what their top 3 financial resolutions are for 2025. You ready for these?
I'm ready.
Save more money. 41% of Americans say is their top resolution. No surprise.
No surprise.
Savings happen to be the top every category in the last 5 years. Paying down debt at 38% and then spending less at 30%. We've got 3 of those 4 financial health pillars represented in those statistics. Those surprising to you?
Not at all. Not at all. Actually, I think a lot of people are starting to realize that having an emergency fund is so important, especially things that are happening in this world today. And if you don't mind, I kind of want to dive deep into what these 4 pillars are of financial health, because I think it's important that people understand what they are, what they mean. There's a lot of mystery to it still for some people. You think it's common sense, but when you're talking to people who don't have an upbringing where their parents talked about financial health, it can really be a mystery. So the first one I want to talk about is spend. So as a young adult, this one was one of the harder ones to manage for me because I'm a spender. Money would burn a hole in my pocket. That's what my mom used to say the second I got it. If it was like $1, I was buying stickers or candy. I mean, it didn't matter. So the spend pillar is really about how you manage your money and your expenses wisely, right? So this looks like creating a budget and actually sticking to it, which I'm working on in 2025 still.
Yep.
By doing this, you can really identify where your money goes. And even better, and what I love about it is ensuring that you're living within your means, because in this world where we get everything when we want it instantaneously and that I need and trying to, have what others have, we really need to be focused and hone in on the money that we make, making it work for us and how we can live within our means.
Yep.
Borrowing. So as we become adults, we get bombarded with companies who start trying to get us to take out loans. It could be a loan, an auto loan, a credit card, a personal loan. Even now, they're starting to give incentives. So if you spend X amount in this time frame, you'll get this bonus, and they're very enticing. And I'm enticed. I see these bonuses, and I'm like, wow, let me get that credit card. And although some of these activities can be beneficial, like establishing credit and increasing your score by making your payments on time, you also need to make sure that you're borrowing responsibly. What I'll call is healthy debt. Making sure you don't exceed 15% of your income for your payments. Of course, this excludes your home and your auto loans. And as part of borrow, you need to ensure that what you borrow can be paid back monthly or as quickly as possible. And we want to do this because we want to avoid accumulating high interest debt that can easily drown your financial future over time. Saving. And you said that was the number one thing people were focusing on in 2025. We are really focusing that in my house too. We've done a really great job, but my husband and I sat down at the beginning of 2025 and we looked at our whole financial landscape. How do we budget? How do we save? How do we meal plan? All of these things were part of the conversation. But saving, we wanted to, up our game, right? So we know that saving is essential to establishing financial health and security. Yeah. And a good rule of thumb, if you're just starting out in this category, is to try at least to save 10% of your monthly income. Make sure you're paying yourself before anybody else. And by saving that 10%, you are setting yourself up for success, like a new garbage disposal if that emergency happens, or to support long-term goals you might be working towards, like saving for a house. So super important, should be the top focus in the conversations that you sit down and have, with a couple or by yourself. What are your goals there? And then plan is actually one of my favorite of the 4 pillars. I love a list. I have lists everywhere, notebooks everywhere. I plan everything. I plan my kids' clothes that they're going to wear for the week, what we're going to eat for the week. I'm really, really into the plan. So the plan pillar is really about setting financial goals for your life and how you plan on achieving these goals. For example, a goal could be I want to buy a house by the time I'm 30. Let's say I'm 20 years old now. What steps do I need to take now to make sure that goal is achievable in 10 years? And how much savings is that per month? And there's lots of calculators. We've got some on Patelco.org. You can find calculators almost anywhere. So utilize what's out there for plan. One thing that I think about when I think about plan, especially for members that are younger, is how do I level up my income? Can I do a side hustle? Can I work 2 jobs? Live at home to save more money. A lot of kids nowadays are living at home longer because it's so expensive out there. Yep. So when you have a plan, it keeps you on the rails of what's important, and it gives you a vision and something to work towards.
All right. Spend, borrow, save, and plan. Those are the 4. But can we talk about savings for a second? Sure. Savings is something that we're trying to achieve in our household too, albeit very tough considering that the grocery prices haven't gone down and everything else for that matter. What do you recommend as a digestible plan, a realistic hack to jumpstart saving?
Oh, a jumpstart. Honestly, just start somewhere. When you look at your budget, make sure you have allotted to paying yourself first. I say that all the time. Yep. You have to pay yourself first. You're not going to save anything if you get in and just start paying off your bills. You've got to set that money aside. Even if it's not 10%, maybe it's $20 a pay period. It adds up over time. And Patelco can also help you with this with a new product that we call Roundup. So with Roundup, you can actually accelerate your savings even more. And you have the option to boost your Roundup either times 2% or times 5% without any action on your part besides just setting that up. So let me give you an example, Michelle. And I think this is a really cool example because it shows how little actions can turn into big reward. So let's say you go every morning to your local bagel shop and you buy a bagel for $4.25. So with Roundup, we will take that 75 cents and we will put that in your savings account. And it can be the savings of your choice. We have a savings or a money market account. Now, if you did that Roundup just by times 1, that would give you $39 per year. So 75 cents rather over the year would give you $39 per year added to your savings account. But, and here's what I love about our Roundup product. If you do a Roundup times 5, so we're going to take that 75 cents times 5, that one transaction would add up to $195 to your savings account every year. Roundup is effortless, and it takes the spare change that is part of your purchase, rounds it up to the nearest dollar, puts it in a savings account to work for you. So I kind of think about our Roundup as kind of like an online coin jar. The coin jars, like the coin jars of the big water bottles we used to have when we were kids of the 80s and 90s, and we'd toss the coins in. Kind of the same concept, except it's all through online banking.
Love it. My son's, we just got one of those at Walmart. You can still get them. It's a 49er big coin jar. But this is like the proverbial version of it, right? The digital version of it. I love Roundup so much. So I've got to go move regular Roundup to the times 5 Roundup is what you're telling me to do. All right. Out of sight, out of mind savings. Automate it. Do it. It's a quick and easy way to start. You don't miss that change, right?
You don't. You really don't.
All right, let's talk about the borrow category for a second and debt payoff maybe on a lot of folks' mind as they set up their New Year resolutions. What advice do you have to give as a first step to tackling debt payoff?
Oh, yeah, debt.
I know.
It's heavy. And when it's the wrong kind of debt, it's really heavy. And the wrong kind of debt is debt that has high interest rates. So think about your credit cards, your personal loans, things like that. So in my younger years, I had to manage my way out of debt several times before I really understood what financial health and wellness was. So I definitely know the impact that debt can have on your life, especially if it's combined with job stress, kids, and just in general. So I want to tell you a story, and this kind of goes into your question. I used to work in branches in my earlier career with Patelco, and had the opportunity to help a lot of members overcome their debt, or at least get it more manageable, right? Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes you need to make changes just to make the payments more manageable, save money on interest. And one member that sticks out to me when I was working in our Fairfield branch years and years ago was a young mother who the branch all knew her. She came in all the time, and she had 2 young kids with her. She came in one day and was like, Jen, I'm going through a divorce. I am in debt. I have 2 young kids. Ugh. She was working, which was great, but she was really at that point in her life where she didn't know what she was going to do. Unfortunately, during the marriage, both her and her husband had acquired a ton of debt, living beyond their means. When they divorced, they also had to split half of that debt that they incurred. Plus, to make things harder, each of them was managing separate households, which is really expensive to do alone. Mm-hmm. So imagine you and your husband making the same money, but now you're adding another household. So you can imagine the amount of stress that this brought to both of them. So she came into the branch to talk about options, and one of her biggest concerns was, how do I avoid bankruptcy going through this divorce with 2 young kids in daycare and managing now separate households? And she really didn't want that to impact the credit history that she had built. Mm-hmm. So in talking to her and going through all the debt she had, we decided that debt consolidation at a lower rate on a Patelco credit card was really going to be her best option. It would get all of her debt into one place, and the interest that she would be paying would be significantly less, which would have an extreme impact on her debt situation. She would be able to pay this off much quicker, and less interest coming out of her pocket. So as a team, we worked together with her to get her out of debt in 5 years, while still being able to live comfortably as a single mom with her 2 kids. And I'm really happy to share that she was able to get out of that debt and actually remarried and purchased a house that she financed with Patelco. I know it's such a success story, and she always sticks out in my mind. And so my advice, if you're in debt, talk to Patelco. We are here to support you. There's hundreds of stories like this I could share with you. Yeah. And we want to support you through life's up and downs. So never be afraid to ask. There's so many resources that we have. Yeah. That we can help you through. And there's a lot of education that you can do out there and learn how to manage your debt. There's different tactics too, like the snowball tactic and consolidation. So don't hesitate to talk to us. Go to our resources on our website. We have something called Check Your Rate, which allows you to see what rate, payment, and loan terms up front you would get from us, and it doesn't impact your credit score. So this is a really good resource to use if you're looking to maybe reduce the amount of interest you're paying on a credit card. Our interest rates on our Patelco credit cards are very good rates. Yep. And so maybe you move over a $5,000 balance at Target at 30% to Patelco at 10%. That's 20% you'd be saving. So if you have those loans, credit cards, auto loans, whatever you have out there, visit our website and check out the Check My Rate just to see how we can help you save money.
I love that story, Jen, so much. My credit union story goes, I was in a similar situation in my 20s, and my payoff journey was a 7 to 8 year plan. But I tell everyone, if it wasn't that chance in the conversation I had at the credit union that day, I would probably still be paying off that debt, making the minimum payment today if I hadn't. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right, one last tidbit from the queen of financial health herself. What have you got as a last send-off for our listeners today?
Okay, let me call this wisdom for 2025. So we've talked about starting an emergency fund. Do not delay that anymore. Just start. Start tomorrow, your next paycheck. You can put that money into a money market or a savings account with Patelco and start building that 3 to 6 months of living expenses to save for those emergencies that we know are going to come up. Yep. Roundup, like we talked about, such an easy process to just get started and boost that savings. And I gave you an example of one purchase once a day. Imagine how many times you use your debit cards a day and how that savings is just going to multiply. Another thing, 2 more things for 2025 I want you to focus on is digesting financial education. So whenever you can, read about it, take classes, or just keep coming back to this podcast and see what we guide you towards in 2025. There is some great stuff that we share, not only here, but in our online webinars and out in our communities. So we want to be there to support you, and Patelco is the place to come. And lastly, this is a big one, and this isn't really about the 5 pillars, but it is about being vigilant. And as we move into a digital world, we know that scams are becoming so prevalent, and these bad actors are getting smarter and smarter and smarter. Being vigilant with scams, knowing that they're prevalent and can be devastating, they can literally ruin you financially. It is so important that you educate yourself on the current scams that are out there, and they are changing, I swear, on the weekly. By visiting Patelco's online fraud center, reading what you can, going to government websites that track scams and fraud, just be very, very vigilant as they are coming for us, honestly. Those are my top 4, I would say, for 2025, and you will be on the right track to financial health and wellness.
Those are such great tips for us. Jen, did you know we have a YouTube channel where you can up your financial literacy game?
I did. I forgot to mention that. That is amazing.
Yeah.
Such a great resource.
Easy place to go. You're on YouTube probably anyway. Just search Patelco CU there in the search box, and you can get oodles and oodles of our podcast episodes and our recorded webinars. So YouTube channel is a great resource for that. I made a note earlier on in the conversation about making lists. So simple, doesn't take, you don't have to download any apps, just get pen to paper, write down your personal goals, because at the end of this, we're talking spend, borrow, save, plan, a lot that you have to figure out in every one of those categories. But at the end, it's about you and your financial health and where you want to go to set yourself up to help you meet your goals. So we super appreciate you coming to start us off for the year, get us set off on the right foot. Jen with one N. Thank you for being with us here today. And we're going to have to come back mid-year and do an update.
Let's do it. I can't wait.
And let's see if by then I will not have emailed you or anything else with double N's. We'll keep me honest.
I'll keep you honest.
All right, folks, it's that time in the show where we share the keyword for the day, and that's financial health. Since we do have the queen of financial health with us today, email us at webinars@patelco.org with the keyword financial health for a chance to win a $25 gift card.
Yay.
You can jumpstart your financial health right there. Again, financial health, email us at webinars@patelco.org. A few resources to share that Jen mentioned during the show today. That Roundup savings you can find directly in the Patelco online mobile app. Definitely, if you've already got it, do a ×5. I'm going to have to do that today. Let's see what ×5 does. And then when we see Jen again in 6 months, let's see what we've accumulated. That check my rate feature, so invaluable, does not impact your credit score. So if we can help you reduce your car loan rate or reduce your existing personal loan rate, get a better rate on a credit card for you, check it out. Check My Rate can be found out on the Patelco.org website. And let's see if we can make some easy impacts on your financial health that way. In our Financial Wellness Center on Patelco.org, you're going to find tons and tons and tons of articles and calculators to help you up your financial literacy game like Jen is helping us try to achieve today. So that's going to conclude today's episode of Small Talks for Big Change. The second episode of the season, we're going to talk exactly about the how to set up a follow-up conversation to what Jen has shared today. We're trying to simplify financial topics to help with your financial wellness. We'll see you next time, folks. Patelco Credit Union is insured by NCUA.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. To hear more, subscribe or follow our next video. See you next time.